One, we're going to put it in
the weight loss if need to be.
But really throughout the rehearsals, you get a closer look.
Hello everyone, and welcome to The Focus Show. I'm your host, Treyon Mobley, and today we have a very special guest, Mr. Keith Webb, the Executive Director of Plant Services. How you doing today, sir?
Doing all right, Treyon. Thank you for inviting me.
So what exactly is Plant Services?
Plant Services is a department in Newport News Public Schools that's in charge of everything to do with the buildings and grounds. So if it breaks, we fix it. If it needs building, we build it. If it needs renovating, we renovate it. We control the heating and cooling inside of every building. We mow the lawns. We clean the buildings. Pretty much everything that needs to be done associated with the buildings.
What experiences or training does it take to work in Plant Services?
Well, it depends. We have a lot of departments inside of the department. We've got the maintenance department, which is where you would find the people who fix things and build things. So I've got carpenters, electricians, plumbers, painters, landscapers, that sort of thing. So to get one of those jobs, you have to have some level of experience. We do have beginner positions where you basically come in, know a little bit about the trade, and then we've got more advanced positions where you come in and you're expected to know and be able to lead other people in doing the work. We've got in the custodial department, we've got folks who have maybe been custodians somewhere else. It's mostly a matter of us teaching them how we do it here in Newport News. The construction, we're looking for somebody who has had some construction experience in the past. Currently I have a gentleman from who's worked at Norfolk Public Schools for a lot of years and decided he'd rather come to work for Newport News. So we've got a broad range of experience levels, most of them kind of specific to the area they'll be working in.
So you did win the Plant Manager of the Year award.
Yes, I did.
How were you able to get that award?
Well, this is actually the most recent award that our department has gotten. We got the Facilities Masters Award several years ago, which means everything that we do meets prescribed best practices for the industry. So we've gotten that. We were named the best green cleaning program in the nation a few years ago, which means all of our buildings are cleaned using least harmful methods of cleaning, hence green. This particular award is given out by the National School Plant Management Association, and there is a Virginia organization called the Virginia School Plant Managers Association. Last year, our maintenance supervisor, Wade Beverly, got the Virginia School Plant Manager Association of the Year award. This year, I applied for this recognition, and I can only suppose that I was the best guy.
How did you rise to Executive Director?
Well, I started with Newport News quite a few years ago, and 27 to be exact. And I was working for another local company, and I was doing construction management at the time, and decided I wanted to try to do something else. And I kid everybody and tell them the job that I got initially, the title was Assistant Maintenance Supervisor. And I had to look up how to spell maintenance in order to apply, because I'd really been concentrated on building buildings as opposed to maintaining buildings.
Right.
From there, it was mostly picking up experience because there's all those trade areas that I told you about, getting to know the various aspects of all those trade areas. And I went from being assistant maintenance supervisor to the maintenance coordinator to the maintenance supervisor, then to the director of maintenance, and then custodial, which has not always been a part of plant services, came into the plant services fold, and that's when I became the executive director of plant services. So that spanned 27 years. Actually, I've been the executive director for about, 12 years.
Wow, that's amazing. All right, guys, we're going to take a quick commercial break, but don't go away. We'll be right back with more of The Focus Show. Stay tuned.
I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal.
Research shows that reading aloud is the single most important thing you can do to help a child prepare for reading and learning. More than 15% of young children, 3.1 million, are read to by family members fewer than 3 times a week. Only 48% of young children in this country are read to each day. Is 15 minutes enough to make a difference?
Yes.
Welcome back to The Focus Show. I'm your host, Trayon Mobley, and today we are going to continue to talk to Mr. Keith Webb about his job as the Executive Director of Plant Services for Newport News Public Schools. So, what are your responsibilities as Executive Director?
Well, the executive director of any of the school departments is basically tasked with setting the direction that that department is going to take. You don't just wait to come in to work that morning and decide what you're going to do for the rest of the year. So there's a little planning involved, and that kind of falls to the executive director. I'm the person responsible for getting the funding to run my department. Now, obviously, that runs through the budget process with the school division, but I'm the one that puts all the numbers together. I have to be able to explain what it is I'm trying to accomplish, why I'm trying to accomplish, and how the budget I've put forth is going to help me achieve those goals. I've got about 350 people in my department. I have a level of leadership below me, and that level of leadership basically interacts with most of the 350 people. There's only 6 people that actually come to me every morning, and they're what we call direct reports. The rest of it is handled by those 6 people. So we solicit input on some of the things, like when we want to renovate a space, we'll go out and we'll meet with the school principal, we'll meet with instructional supervisors, try and understand what the needs are. Then we'll meet with either architects or engineers or contractors, depending on what the project is. And then there's certain rules we have to adhere to as far as buying services, and we try to work with our purchasing department to make sure that we got all of those items covered and they're able to buy the goods or services legally. And that in a nutshell, and I'm kind of the voice of plant services, so when there's opportunities presented, like the newspapers frequently have questions, I'm the one that answers those questions. Right. If there's a need for a television interview like this one, I would be the guy that would typically come, whether it was for my award or not. So that's sort of what the executive director does for plant services.
What are some of the things that are being done to Newport News Public Schools, or that are getting improved?
Okay. Newport News is the 9th largest school district in the Commonwealth of Virginia. So we've got an awful lot that's always going on all the time. As you can imagine, we've got 4.4 million square feet of space, and right at 29,000 students. And so as soon as you let the first person in a building, something starts to break. So we have to fix that. And starts getting dirty, so we have to clean that. So we're constantly looking for better ways to do what we do. We've done 2 different contracts called energy-based performance contracts, and that's where you sign a contract with a company and they guarantee to save you so much money if you do a certain group of things, like if you replace some air conditioning or you replace your plumbing fixtures with ones that use less water. If you change your lighting out to LED lighting, you're going to, all of those cost less money to operate, and so the money saved there is used to help pay for that sort of thing. And so we've been able to improve all the buildings by upgrading the lighting, upgrading the air conditioning in not every building, but some of them. All the plumbing in all the buildings is not the original issue stuff. The average age of that 4.4 million square feet I referenced is 50 years. And so when you have a 50-year-old building, things need to be fixed.
Yeah.
So we're constantly doing that. We've got an indoor air quality person that actually she's an environmental quality person. So she makes sure that the air in the buildings meets, safety levels. She takes care of, there's some asbestos in the building. She addresses that to make sure we're safe there. Got some, some lead-based paint products, and so her job is to make sure we keep everything as healthy as we are able. The custodial staff, there's a bunch of different ways to clean things, and we're always looking for the best way that costs the least amount of money, and it's also fairly the easiest that we can do, and yet still arrive at the point where we want to be, which is a clean, healthy, safe school. Because our real job is to make sure every classroom in every building is available for teaching on every school day. And if that doesn't happen, then we haven't done our job to the best of our ability. Now, does that mean nothing ever breaks? No.
Right.
Things break, and that's why we have a maintenance department. But our job is to try and prevent things. I call them hiccups. Prevent hiccups, if you will. So that when teachers are teaching and students are trying to learn, they're not distracted by things like it's too cold in here, it's too hot in here, or half of the lights are burned out, or there's this humming noise that we can't figure out where the humming noise is coming from. So those are the sort of things that we're trying to do to make the schools better on a daily basis.
Does the weather at all affect your job?
It does. It does. When we have snow events, thankfully we don't live someplace like Colorado and have a ton of snow, but even a little bit of snow in the Tidewater area can make an impact. So when we have, for instance, a snow event, myself and my maintenance supervisor, Wade Beverly, the two of us are out in the middle of the night before everybody gets up, and we're taking a look at all the properties to see what we have to do. Do we need to scrape the snow? How many people do I need to get out to shovel the snow off the sidewalks? We have a contractor that actually removes the snow, so we have to get that contractor, kind of mobilized and working. Right. We work with the transportation department and advise the superintendent about whether it's safe to have school. So that's kind of what we do in a snow emergency. The other weather-related emergency that we deal with is hurricanes. Very similar to what's going on with a snow event, except it's rain and wind. And so then we're riding the city looking for places where water is rising and making it hard for the buses to come and go. And we pay attention to what the wind is doing. So if there's going to be a lot of wind, we make sure that everything that may be loose around the buildings is inside the building. So those are some of the weather-related things that we deal with from time to time.
And before we close up, is there anything that you would like to add?
I would. While I'm the person that got the award, it's really a reflection of the entire team, because no leader works by himself. He's really the guy that just helps it happen. The real work is done by the folks in plant services to to include the maintenance people, the custodial people, and all the others that are part of the supporting cast. I've just been really lucky to work with that group of people now, and largely they've made me look good, and it's that making me look good that helps me win that award. But it couldn't have happened without everybody else.
Okay, well, I thank you for coming.
Thank you, Gerard.
All right, guys, this has been The Focus Show. I was your host, Trey Mobley, saying take care.